How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
voice inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be out you.
Won't anybody help us? What are we running for? When there's nowhere we can run to anymore. We can't afford to be innocent. Stand up and face the enemy. It's a do or die situation. We will be invincible. And with the power of conviction, there is no sacrifice. It's a do or die situation. We will be invincible.
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Can we grow up a little bit and
Alt
not
Girl
be
sent $200.
retarded?
Have you
Please.
seen the work of Karlyn Borysenko? Anti-commie cult leader and is obsessed with looking at what actual far-left communists are talking about and organizing today, infiltrating them. They infiltrated the universities, schools, media. She has the receipts to back it up. Primary source evidence. Infestation is dire and she calls Republicans idiots eating slop. Agree.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, oh, I know Karlyn B. She's solid. She's funny. I
The
like
great
her.
noticer sent $200.
Literally.
So
not
it's,
Ian.
it's not because I haven't dangled my junk into the combat zone on purpose to get some camera footage, but that's the big part of what's the
Is
problem.
that what you call reporting?
Go
and live
under, if
streaming?
you're going to do it,
Yeah,
go
seriously.
undercover. Otherwise you're wearing a hunk of meat in a lion's den. Nick Shirley, I love you. Take care of yourself, man. Karlyn Borysenko went undercover. Do stuff like that. Like if you want to expose this thing, don't pariah,
But
please.
Ian, here's and I agree with you to an extent.
And I've learned a lot from Karlyn Borysenko, who goes in undercover with the left. And I've figured out from looking at her work, like when I first saw her stuff, I was like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. I need to like connect with her. And she actually, the first time I got assaulted in 2025, followed me and sent me messages, and she checked on me for months, just privately. It was so nice to have somebody like, are you okay? But I could tell she knew what she was talking about, and I subscribe to her. I look at all her stuff. I've learned so much, and I thought I knew a lot. I've learned so much.
What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday. Big Sammy asks over on Rumble, hey, Ding, does Karlyn do large orders of her books? I'd like them to give away to old friends. It depends on how many. You could, if you're like the best place to get in touch, I would have to look into how that might work. It's something I've never really thought about because I just basically put my books on Amazon and let them go. But if you want to send me like a DM on Twitter, and let me know how many you're thinking about, I can maybe look into that. I appreciate the sentiment, dude. Maybe we can make that happen. We'll see. We'll see. I have plans for my books, but I'm too busy doing other shit right this second, including writing another fucking book. So welcome, guys. Happy Tuesday. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hey, did you guys know that I have photoshopped my weight loss according to the internet? Did you guys know that even though I'm literally on video 6 days a week, I have photoshopped my weight loss on the internet? Did you guys know that I use filters on these videos to make you think I've lost weight when I haven't? Which really begs the question, why the fuck wasn't I using the filters for years when I was heavier? Like, why wasn't I using the same filters that, I mean, maybe, I don't know, man. I don't know. Do you guys know? I just, the fact that I can fit into a size 4 pair of jeans now, that doesn't matter, guys. The fact that I can like literally fit into size 4 jeans, that doesn't matter. What matters is I am faking it all for the internet, according to Britney and the fucking. I can't even call Britney's fans groypers. I can't even call them that. I don't even know. And if you don't know who Britney is from Politically Provoked, like, don't worry about it. But yeah, guys, you got me. Yeah, I have mad magician skills. I barely even know how to turn on my own microphone, but I'm doing some advanced magician skills to make you guys think I've lost weight and, whatever. So that is the bullshit that I have to deal with on the internet on a daily basis. And sometimes I just don't even know what to say. The desperation of these people to have any excuse to be toxic retards is just mind-boggling. If it's not one thing, it'll always be another thing. And that is why we don't really talk to people on the internet, guys. That is why I don't have internet friends. That is why I am not friends with content creators. That is why I very rarely speak to other content creators, because they're all fucking psychotic. They're all psychotic. They're all toxic retards. And, the best I can do is just create this little bubble for myself where I can block all the retardation out of it, except when I make the colossal error of posting videos on Facebook. Because my Instagram's actually been blowing up lately. I've gained like 20,000 Instagram followers in like a month or a month or two. I just passed 30,000 Instagram followers. I wasn't even trying to grow my Instagram, but I just started posting videos on it, like those short videos that I also post on YouTube and a couple other places as well. And those videos just started taking off and going viral. And then when I posted them to Instagram, I also was posting them to my Decode the Left Facebook page just automatically, and I wasn't even really thinking about it. And then the videos started going viral on Facebook as well. And now I have over 40,000 followers on the Decode the Left Facebook page. But like, my bigger point is this. Do you know how retarded people on Facebook are? I can't. If you're on Facebook and you're leaving comments for me on those videos, I can't read them. I'm sorry. I can't. The retardation, you guys think Twitter is retarded? You guys think X is retarded? Facebook is a whole other level of boomer retardation. And it is so bad that I literally cannot even open my own Facebook page to see what people are saying, because it's just going to increase my stress level. It's just going to, there is no upside for me looking at the comments on Facebook. There's like no upside at all in any way. I can't do it. So if you're following me on Facebook, I plead you to get on a smarter platform. Come to the YouTube channel. I mean, you go on Instagram if you want, I guess. I get smart comments on Instagram. Instagram's fine. X is still pretty retarded, and you're probably never going to see my content because it doesn't get served to my own followers. But, you know, whatever. But really, come on the YouTube channel. Come on the Rumble channel. Come over here. We have a smart community over here. I have expertly gate-kept all of the retardation out of the YouTube chat and out of the Rumble chat, so that we have a place where the smart people can gather and listen to the information without the interruption of MAGA boomer retards. Hey, we're already getting some channel memberships. W's to Doug, first channel membership of the stream. Thanks so much, bro. Really, really, really appreciate that. And then, hang on. Getting that banner updated. W's to Grillis, 5 channel memberships. Really appreciate that, bro. And those are going to be especially valuable today, guys. I really appreciate you starting us off, because we have a spy stream today. We have a spy stream today. If I can find it, there it is. Guys, we started a week-long spy stream series yesterday. I did a rare public spy stream when we went inside what is the first in a series of leftist trainings. Yesterday's training was pretty damn great. I still have some clips I want to make of that, but we are going to be going to more of those trainings for the rest of the week. And what that means is we have a full week of supporter exclusive spy streams. Yesterday was a special treat. It was like an appetizer for people who have never been to spy stream before. But now that you guys have gotten a taste, we are bringing it back to supporter only, because it's quite frankly more pleasant for us to do it as a supporter exclusive. There's just less retardation in the chat. It just makes it a little bit nicer. This is when we go inside live leftist meetings and we sit there like a fly on the wall and we listen to all of their plans. Trendolin, if you want me to watch this, $5 is not remotely enough, Trendolin. I'm telling you that right now. $5, I'm going to have to think about the amount that would be appropriate for this. Trendolin wants to bribe me to watch the Whatever podcast. Trendolin, I already have something on deck from Amalek for Friday. And quite frankly, Amalek picks out better content than you. And Amalek wants to watch something with me. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it on Friday, but like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And so this would have to wait until next week at the very earliest. And I'm sure as shit not doing it for $5 fucking. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that right now. But I will give that some thought, Trendolin. Thank you for the super chat. So tonight we're doing a spy stream. It's going to be starting in around about an hour and a half. And that means, guys, we have to get right into the content. Because we have an hour and 17-minute presentation to watch from the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And I really hope in the next hour and 17 minutes, we are able to bring in 100 new channel memberships in order to get more people into Spy Stream later tonight and for the rest of the week. So the Party for Socialism and Liberation has released a couple new trainings, one about what they're going to do at the ballot box. We'll watch that one another time. But I'm more interested in this one, beyond the ballot box. What's next in the fight for socialism? So the Party for Socialism and Liberation is like the right's favorite socialist group, mostly because it's the only one they've heard of. They are a highly organized national organization. And I'm not convinced that they're getting all their funding from the CCP like conservative retards. They do get some of their funding by someone who has a connection to the CCP, but that does not mean all of their funding. And it doesn't mean the funding at the national affiliate is filtering into the local chapters. But I'm honestly not even concerned about the funding because conservatives are never even going to do anything about that anyway. So it doesn't really matter. I am concerned about what are they doing in the real world? How are they organizing? What are their tactics? How are they going to try to disrupt society? So we're going to jump right into it. We're going to start listening to this, and hopefully the audience likes my work enough today that they donate 100 channel memberships without me having to beg or plead or cajole to get more people in for our spy stream infiltration later. So without further ado, guys, we're going to jump right into it. Let's get this party started. Come on, PS.
Movement to transform society, to put the political and economic power back in the hands of working people.
In the fourth largest economy in the world, families can afford rent, groceries, or childcare. All the while, corporations bring in record profits.
That's not an accident. That's the billionaire system working exactly as designed.
Meanwhile, we bear the burden of all the system's failures.
AI displacing our jobs, climate disasters intensifying, and an expanding war economy pushing us closer to World War III.
But when we demand solutions, we're told there's no money.
We know this is a lie. The two-party system is rigged to protect the interests of the rich and powerful.
The question is, what will we do to change it?
From the day that we started our campaigns, we said it was about more than just winning votes. No one person or one election can defeat the billionaires or corporate power alone. It's about building a new system where people hold political power. It's about building socialism.
In the last year, we have seen the violence of the billionaire ruling class against our immigrant communities and against working class people standing up for our basic rights.
But every time they've turned up the pressure, so have we.
When they attacked Iran and forced working people to foot the bill, who took to the streets?
When ICE targeted our communities, who showed up in defense?
When insurance giants abandoned fire survivors, who fought back?
We did.
Okay, Trendlin, here's the deal. Trendlin, if you donate 50 channel memberships, I will watch that whatever podcast. But I'm not going to do it this week, Trendlin. I have to do it next week. But if you donate 50 channel memberships, I will watch the fucking whatever podcast, okay?
Not the Democrats, not the Republicans, the people.
Because that's what changes society.
That's the price.
It's the mass movement, the mass participation of people organized at every level, a people confident in saying, this is what we want, and we will not accept anything less.
Trump attacks our rights from every direction, but these problems started long before him.
And even with a Democratic majority in California, our lives have not gotten easier. Only a true socialist alternative can stop the billionaire agenda.
That's why we proudly ran as candidates with the Peace and Freedom Party, the only socialist party on the ballot. Because we need an independent movement of working class people at the ballot box. But
I've never heard of the Peace and Freedom Party. That's a new one for me. Okay.
Replacing a few bad apples isn't enough. We need to continue to build socialism inside and outside of the election cycle every single day.
Thank you to everybody who supported our campaigns, to anybody who donated, volunteered, to everybody who registered Peace and Freedom Party and voted socialist.
We traveled across California, not just in big cities,
but rural areas that have been ignored by both major parties.
We gathered over 50,000 signatures to get on the ballot, eliminating the filing fees.
Our campaigns brought together thousands of volunteers, knocked on tens of thousands of doors, and reached hundreds of thousands of voters.
The future will be what we make it. And this campaign is an invitation. Join the socialist movement. Organize with us. Continue this fight past the primary and past the general election. Together, we will keep fighting to build a California for the people, not the billionaires.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
Welcome, everyone, and good evening. Thank you for joining our Vote Socialist California statewide webinar. We are super excited to celebrate these campaigns with you and to talk about the next steps to build socialism and win a California for the people, not the billionaires. My name is Sonika. I'm a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I'm based in the Bay Area. And I'm also a proud registered member of the Peace and Freedom Party. And I've been volunteering over the last several months with our Vote Socialist campaigns. It's the day after the primary election in California and votes are still being counted, but the fight does not end here. The ballot box was never our destination. To stop Trump and the billionaire agenda, working people need a vehicle to fight beyond elections. We can't wait until the general election in November or until 2028. We need to build an independent socialist movement every day, one that will guarantee our people healthcare, put an end to ICE terror for good, and stop wars abroad. That movement is growing every single day, and the results of this election are proof that Californians are hungry for that alternative. Tonight, we're going to hear from some of our statewide candidates on what comes next in the fight for socialism. Before I hand it over to our all-star lineup of speakers, I want us to take stock of what we've built together. We brought over 4,000 volunteers into this movement toward the close of the campaign. We knocked on over 40,000 doors across the whole state.
Hang on. I'm going to emphasize the word volunteers. Guys, are volunteers paid? No, the answer is no. Let's just, get that out of the way. Volunteers are volunteers. They are not paid protesters. 4,000 people volunteering for their little campaign. That's not insignificant.
I want us to take stock of what we've built together. We brought over 4,000 volunteers into this movement toward the close of the campaign. We knocked on over 40,000 doors across the whole state. And we connected with over 45,000 registered PFP, Peace and Freedom Party voters by phone. We also sent out over 22,000 mailers to voters in Fresno, Kern, San Joaquin, Imperial County, and parts of Riverside. And by that measure, we already won. So shout out to all the volunteers on this call. You helped make this possible. You helped working people to see that politicians not funding our needs or solving the affordability crisis is not an inevitability. It is a choice made by both major parties and by the billionaires that back them. They've been telling us that working people don't want to organize.
Guys, they got over 50,000 signatures. Have any of you ever been involved in a ballot access campaign? Do you know how difficult it is to get 50,000 signatures? It is a Herculean task.
But you helped prove them wrong. Just a quick housekeeping note. We will have a short Q&A at the end, so please use the Q&A function to enter your questions, and we will have someone compiling them, and the candidates will answer some of those questions. With that, let's start the program. I'm excited to introduce our first speaker, organizer, social worker, and our esteemed socialist candidate for governor, Ramsey Robinson. Please help me welcome Ramsey.
Do I think that the left is going to use Carmelo Anthony to recruit new members? Maybe the Black Panthers, but honestly, I haven't really seen the left talking about it all that much. So that's why I'm not talking about it. Like, maybe the Black Panthers will, but I don't see this as a broad issue that the left is going to get behind. Honestly, maybe I'm wrong about that. Listen, I think the Black people outside the courthouse are probably going to, cause some problems if I'm being honest about it. I think we may see some little murmurings of social disturbance, but do I think that's reflective of far left organizing? No, it might be reflective of Black liberation organizing, which is on the far left. It may be reflective of the Black Panthers, but the left more broadly, I don't anticipate it, but I guess we'll see.
Hey, what is up, California, and wherever y'all are tuning into? Well, to get right to it, we knew from the very beginning that running in this election cycle was about something bigger than winning votes for our campaign. So when people have been asking me now that the election is over, what are you going to do? I tell them I ain't going anywhere. I'm going to keep building the movement for socialism, because long before this 2026 election, I joined the Party for Socialism and Liberation because I realized that the only solution to racism, sexism, poverty, and living a dignified life is to wage the biggest fight of all, and that fight is against the corporate billionaire class. And not just that, to replace it with a system where the interests of working people are at the forefront. And this is the definition of socialism. So our campaign sought to bring real, tangible solutions, socialist solutions that are entirely achievable right now. The means to transform California for the people exists right now. The policy ideas exist right now. The only difference is that the lack of political will to act on these solutions. And this is demonstrated by both parties within the two-party system. We used our campaign to expose the realities created by the two-party system and speak to the issues concerning the people from all parts of the state. We wanted to raise the stakes during this election cycle to make socialism a real factor in California politics. And I know we succeeded because all of you right here are in the Zoom room ready to take the next steps to build something bigger than the June 2nd primary. I'm getting ahead of myself. We took socialism from big cities to small towns, in urban areas and rural areas, from LA, Bay Area, shout out, Fresno, Fontana, Modesto, Bakersfield, Palmdale, Compton, Stockton, West Oakland, East Oakland, Bayview, shout out, East Palo Alto, San Diego, Sacramento, and more. And especially in the small towns and rural areas where people often said to us, thank you for making the time to come out here, because no politician ever does. But our goal has always been and is to activate and empower all working people across California that have been left behind, the disenfranchised and completely ignored by this system, and to let them know that our conditions are not because of our personal failures, but a system working exactly how it is designed, and that they should join us in our pursuit to transform society. The truth is, no single politician, no matter what they promise you, can actually make these transformations alone. It requires the active participation of people of California to make these policies a reality. Along the campaign trail, people understandably ask me, Ramsey, why not run as a Democrat? You'll have a better chance of winning as they do. That's what they say. But the answer is really simple, and I think we know this now, y'all. The Democratic Party, at the end of the day, serves billionaire corporate interests.
Oh, yeah?
And there's no amount of reforming that will change that fact.
These are not Democrats. These are not, I have to say this every single stream, which is bizarre to me, but okay. These are not Democrats. These are not liberals. These are not progressives. These are socialists. They believe that Democrats, liberals, and progressives want to uphold the capitalist system. These are socialists. They do not want to uphold capitalism. They want to abolish capitalism. In this case, they're talking about more of a reformist socialist strategy, which is getting elected to office and making small incremental changes over time to use elections and public office to abolish capitalism and implement socialism. However, there are also some revolutionary tendencies in the PSL, if we're being honest. I don't think the PSL is some kind of weird hybrid, to be honest. The PSL plays in the reformist socialist category. It also plays in the revolutionary socialist category. So I kind of feel like they're trying to go from both angles. They're a little bit like the Jews in this regard. They're trying to go from both angles and see which one sticks. But I like the PSL is definitely some weird hybrid. No, retard. I literally just explained this to you clearly. Let me say it slower for the retards in the chat. Progressives want to uphold capitalism. These are socialists. Hang on, I'm going to put you in a timeout so you're forced to shut the fuck up and listen. These are socialists. They want to abolish capitalism. A progressive does not want to abolish capitalism. There is a boundary. Definitions matter. Words matter. Unlike the retarded conservative right-wing media, we don't just make shit up here. We actually hinge into reality.
And y'all, I'm old enough to witness how much the Democrats promise us change election cycle after election cycle, only to capitulate at the very moment we need them to fight. And this is by design. A party that works for the corporate class and the corporate billionaires will never vote its own power away. And that's why we stand firm in our principles and our politics, because we're serious when we say that we are building a California for the people. You heard me say it a million times, not the what, not the billionaires. And that requires building an entirely independent apparatus, one that's accountable to working people and working class interests. And the media works very hard to deem us not viable. But we have to ask, like, under what standards? Are the Democrats viable? Are the Republicans viable? Tom Steyer had the billions to pay off TV, radio, and media. Becerra had the backing of Democrats and the giant corporations and companies like Chevron. But we had the people behind us, like we just saw. We had the 4,000 volunteers, nearly 2,000 unique donors. We knocked on 42,000 doors.
2,000 unique donors. This was not just all funded by the CCP, guys. This was a self-professed socialist running for local office. 2,000 unique donors.
Eliminated $30,000 in filing fees by getting 51,000 petitions, and purely on our ability to mobilize with dedication and enthusiasm our volunteer base alone. We spent our hard-earned donations and went to cities and towns to hear about the real conditions that are ignored by both corporate parties. We wanted to activate those who the corporate class relies on to be abstentionists in these races and convince them that their concerns matter and that when we act together, we can make a difference. This is so much harder than just capitulating to the corporate class, the capitalist class, because we are determined to keep building and keep fighting for the future that we deserve. So why the Peace and Freedom Party? Well, Peace and Freedom was born out of struggles like this, from the anti-war movement and the Black liberation movement of the 60s, as a response to the Democrats who continue to capitulate to pro-war candidates at the expense of genuinely anti-war, anti-racist candidates. So how, in the face of mass resistance and uprising, could the Democrats not listen to their supposed base? The answer is and always will be the same. They serve the interests of the corporate class, not the interests of us, of working people.
See?
As working people, that we suffer from the increasing affordability crisis, now sharpened with the war in Iran, the Democratic politicians that run California have done nothing to relieve the burden from our backs. We shouldn't have to foot the bill for the crises of capitalism and the recklessness of US foreign policy. One of the ways that we can fight for a transformation of society is to build this independent electoral instrument that can take on corporate-owned parties, a ballot access party that is the true expression of the mass movement. And we know that people are hungry for this, and the evidence is right there. Peace and Freedom Party is the fastest growing political party in California. But the decisive factor for how we win political power for our class doesn't rest within the confines of the electoral politics alone. If we think about all the gains that we working folks, we oppressed people have made in our society, the Voting Rights Act, reproductive justice.
Hang on, Warner's got a question here. Guys, if you have questions in the chat, please do ask them. I will answer them if I can. I know this still falls under capitalism, but I know some countries have more socialist systems within their capitalist system. Warner, we only study the United States here. So I don't care what other countries are doing. I'm not going to study what other countries are doing. What other countries are doing has nothing to do with what's going on in the United States, because the brand of socialism that we are dealing with in the United States is a unique phenomenon to the United States because of how it evolved and developed. So while I understand that there are some people from other places, I'm not going to study other countries, and I'm not going to compare the two. Thank you, though.
Labor rights, desegregation. This was only possible when a majority of people organize and mobilize around these issues to make the demands clear that society will stop running business as usual so long as these horrible conditions we live continue. In other words, when working people get activated and assert our collective power, change.
Well, then you're too stupid to be here. Can I just lay it out for you, brass tacks? What you are, I just don't believe that Democrats aren't communists. Then you are a retard who insists on making up a fantasy that has no resemblance to reality at all. So, because you've just shown me that you have no commitment to the truth, you don't want to hinge into reality, you just want to make shit up and exist in fantasy land, congratulations, you're deported from the channel, permanently banned. We don't want you here. Go away. Go back to Fox News. They'll let you make up whatever crazy shit you want. We are hinging into reality here.
Happens. And at the same time, if we don't keep up that pressure, all of these rights will get rolled back. And we've seen that happen too with the Voting Rights Act, with women's rights. So unfortunately, we saw this play out already in our lifetime. And this is why fighting for this or that reform is actually not enough. The only way that we can sustain these reforms for good is when we get to call the shots. When the political power is in the hands.
Kristen in with the 5 channel memberships. W's, Kristen. Thank you so much. Appreciate it very much. Guys, I'm trying to get up to 100 new channel members before our spy stream in about an hour. Can we get 90 more channel memberships in the next hour? That would be fucking awesome. And that way 90 more people will be able to go inside the live leftist organizing call and see what's going on for themselves.
Hands of the working people. And again, that is socialism. This is why our work here doesn't end on June 2nd. Our project to build a socialist future must happen in all arenas, in the ballot box, in our neighborhoods, in our workplaces, wherever our people are, we have a chance to activate them to join our movement. Beyond this election, we plan to build PFP chapters all across the state so that we can build an independent socialist ballot access party capable of entering all electoral races, big or small. And of course, like I said at the beginning of this, I'm also a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, which seeks to build an organization capable of intervening in all areas of struggle, to build a vehicle for socialist transformation of society, and to activate people to be a part of this project that we're building, a project that seeks to win political power of the working class once and for all. And I hope you join us, because this is just the beginning.
Thank you so much, Ramsey. Your campaign has truly shown us that winning isn't just about one election. It's about building that movement in every corner of the state. I know I've learned a lot from being in the movement side by side with Ramsey and all of the other candidates, and we're all inspired to keep organizing because this is just the beginning. Next, I'd love to introduce our next speaker, a school bus driver,
Thank you,
Peace
Mike.
and Freedom Party state officer,
Appreciate it.
president of her union, and our socialist candidate for state controller, Megan Adams. Please welcome Megan.
So thanks everyone for being here. Thanks, Annika. And thank you, Ramsey, for talking about the legacy of Peace and Freedom Party. And I'm going to repeat some of the things he said, because you know what? It's worth repeating to make sure that we remember. But for those that don't know, I've been an elected officer of Peace and Freedom Party for about 10 years now. And what we've been building is an authentic, independent electoral home for those that are sick and tired of the Democratic Party selling out our interests for the sake of preserving a broken system, and to fight for a future that meets the needs of people in California. As Trump and the billionaires have levied countless attacks on our people, it's become clear that relying on the Democratic Party to fight the ultra-right takeover of democracy, it's ultimately a dead end. And what I've seen while traveling...
I just don't know how much more clear socialists could be that they don't support the Democratic Party. I truly have no... Listen. The reason the left is going to win is because the right refuses to even acknowledge that there is a difference between Democrats and socialists. Even though we have thousands of clips at this point, thousands of clips across all the socialist groups where they are all saying the same thing. Fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats. I mean, it's just like, it is mind-blowing that any person can actually listen to these people talk and still come away with the conclusion, I think Democrats are communists, because it's like they heard it on the TV so many, it's like, this is why we deport people from the channel when the moment that they show us that they will not listen, it's like, what the fuck is even the point? What the fuck is even the point? If you refuse to follow the evidence because you are more committed to your fucking fantasy land than you are to reality, that is a you problem. That is not a me problem. Get the fuck out.
Around California, talking to thousands of you, is that you're ready to fight. And you're not just willing, you're not willing to just wait for the next election. You want to fight now. And I know that's why you're all here today. So I wanted to give some context to this little known controller race. And so as Ramsey said, nearly 60 years ago, an entire generation of young people decided they were ready to fight. That witnessing the brutality and lies about Vietnam had transformed this generation forever. And they were ready to build a real alternative for working class people to express that voice. So when we fast forward to 2023, the genocide in Palestine did not start that year. But what has happened over the last 2.5 years has broken this struggle into the consciousness of people in the US. The mass movement for Palestine has changed the narrative forever. And the mask came off the Democrats. Even as millions poured into the streets to demand an end to the genocide and an arms embargo, Democratic politicians at every level continued to spout canned talking points and take trips to Israel. Joe Biden approved billions of dollars in munitions shipments to Israel. But massive non-committed movements emerged from disaffected voters. And the only socialist pro-Palestine candidate for president, Claudia de la Cruz, garnered a historic number of volunteers and votes nationwide. And that's the context under which we launched this campaign for California State Controller, because we wanted to continue making Palestine a red line on the ballot. And our biggest accomplishment was that we politicized this race. The state controller race flies under the radar, with the same status quo establishment Democrat gets elected every year. And they quietly sign off on checks and tax cheats for the billionaires and corporations. And none of us even knew that this was happening. But we ran as socialists and talked to tens of thousands of people about this office because it's one that we could actually use to fight for working people. We can divest from Israel, from war, and from fossil fuels. We can audit police departments that collaborate with ICE, and we can stop corporate landlords from buying up our housing in bulk. We can use our platform.
So they are telling you explicitly the very real concrete tactics they would take if they get elected to this local office. And guys, it is not an out of the realm possibility that socialists can get elected to more local office. It happens all the time. It happens in New York. It happens in Portland. It happens in Seattle. It happens in Chicago. It happens all the time. So they're telling you, here are the very real tactics that we are going to implement in order to push socialism.
None of us even knew that this was happening. But we ran as socialists and talked to tens of thousands of people about this office because it's one that we could actually use to fight for working people. We can divest from Israel, from war, and from fossil fuels. We can audit police departments that collaborate with ICE, and we can stop corporate landlords from buying up our housing in bulk. We can use our platforms to raise the issues of war and destruction because working people in California and across the US don't want this blood on our hands, and nor do we want our loved ones being sent to fight in endless wars. As we speak, the US continues its aggression on Iran. It continues its stranglehold on the Cuban economy through life-threatening sanctions, and all the while continuing to hold Venezuela's head of state in jail for no reason. The reckless foreign policy of the Republicans and the Democrats plunder trillions of our tax dollars. And meanwhile, working people in California continue to suffer through deteriorating living conditions. But in the Peace and Freedom Party, our aim is to use every race possible to raise the issues that affect the working class people the most and bring solutions that meet the scale of the problem. We want to make socialism a real factor in California politics. And if you're down with that, then we urge you to join Peace and Freedom Party. You can support us if you haven't already by registering for Peace and Freedom and get active in chapters across the state. And if there aren't chapters in your area, then you can help us start one. We want to.
It's very confusing to me why they labeled this presentation Beyond the Ballot Box, because it seems like they're only talking about the ballot box, which is fine. I don't mind listening to it. But like, when do we get to the beyond part, socialists? Is that coming up?
Build chapters in all 58 counties in the state.
By the way, guys, we are shockingly off our goal for today, and we have less than an hour. Less than an hour until our next spy stream infiltration. Can we get the channel memberships rolling? Do you guys want to do this? Like, the more people the reason I ask is we have a spy stream coming up at 6:45 p.m. tonight. I would love to have as many people in spy stream as possible. We have spy streams all week long following this leftist training that we started. Is it within the ballot box? No, it's beyond the ballot box. The presentation is beyond the ballot box. Anyway, if we can make some progress to that channel membership goal, that would be rad. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, exposing this to you, breaking it down, showing you content no one else is showing you, infiltrating fucking meetings that no one else is watching, you know, feel free, okay?
So as is on there, we have chapters in the following counties: San Francisco, Alameda, Sonoma, Sacramento, Orange County, Los Angeles, Ventura, San Bernardino, and San Diego. You've probably also heard about our statewide races, but during this primary, we were also endorsed other races as well, including Los Angeles City Attorney, Aida Shuri, Congressional District 24, Helena Pascuala.
Old sub! Old sub! It went 10! Old sub! The legend, the king is here. Thank you very much, old sub. Your ongoing generosity is deeply humbling. We very much appreciate the 10 channel memberships. Thank you.
Congressional District 37, John Parker, State Senate District 8, Linda Roberts, and San Diego County Supervisor District 5, Sasha Miller. And we have an ongoing mayoral campaign in the city of El Cajon in San Diego County, where Alexander Kraft, who is a labor organizer and educator, and Kevin Aiken, a retired steelworker and the state chair of Peace and Freedom Party, they will also be on the ballot in November for District 63. And while we're getting ready for the November election and the 2028 general election, we will keep organizing until our movement grows bigger and stronger. I've been in the movement since 2003, when I witnessed our government declare war on Iraq based on lies and flew to DC to protest. And just a few years later, I ended up joining the Party for Socialism and Liberation to fight for socialism every day. And in this time, I've seen the consciousness of working people change, and especially in the last years. And I can feel it when I talk to all of you. We must seize on this moment to build the movement for socialism in the ballot box, in the streets, and wherever working people are. It's no coincidence that Peace and Freedom Party is already one of the fastest growing electoral parties in the state. much faster than the Democrats and Republicans.
Hmm.
The corporate-owned media,
Oh,
the
yeah?
billionaire ruling class, has tried to deem us not viable. But on what terms? For us, viability is determined by the ability to organize our class in the hundreds of thousands to millions into action. And that's what we aim to do until we win the full transformation of society, a socialist future for generations to come. So it's been a real honor and a pleasure to serve as your candidate for state controller. I'm going to keep organizing and fighting, and I hope you join me too.
Give it up for Megan, everybody. Let's keep those emojis coming. Love to see the love. Thanks, Megan, for reminding us that elections don't stand apart from what we build in the streets and in our communities in the movement every day. Because what we build shifts the balance in politics at the local, state, and national level, just like we've seen with Palestine. So now is also a good opportunity to register to vote under the Peace and Freedom Party if you haven't already. The link has been placed in the chat. And you can help build the PFP wherever you are. We have those chapters that were listed and county central committees all across California. So you can sign up to find your closest chapter, or you can help us build one. Next, I'd like to invite up environmental science teacher, United Teachers of Los Angeles member, and our socialist candidate for insurance commissioner, Lalo Vargas.
Los Angeles environmental studies teacher and socialist candidate for insurance commissioner. Socialists don't believe insurance should exist, guys, just so we're clear.
Thank you for the intro, Sonica. Thank you to everyone who is spending their Wednesday evening with us. I love seeing the enthusiasm coming through the chat. You all have great questions, so definitely keep them coming. And I really want to take a moment to thank every single supporter, every volunteer, every person who put their time, their energy, of course their vote, but also their trust into this campaign. Because of that work that not just us, the candidates did, but what you all did, this campaign did something truly historic. What my campaign was able to do was to introduce the demand for public property and casualty insurance, and we helped it go mainstream. Now, I didn't run for insurance commissioner because I woke up one day and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be the next insurance commissioner. I didn't come from a background with the insurance industry, nor does anyone in my family work for the insurance industry. I learned about the insurance industry the same way that most working class people do, which is by living under a system where all of us are one accident or one illness or one fire or one disaster away from financial ruin, where one of those things can push us over the edge. And I saw one of those crises firsthand when a big part of LA was devastated in the fires last year. Families, including some of my colleagues at work, were losing their homes. People lost their neighborhoods, their stability, and people who had paid into insurance for years discovered that the coverage that they were promised didn't actually protect them. And these insurance companies were essentially pocketing their premiums and making out like bandits. Well, the state failed to respond with the urgency and the scale that people actually needed, and the insurance industry protected its profit. Who was it that was on the ground daily? It was the people, cleaning up the destruction, distributing supplies, food, clothing, all of the necessities, filling in the gaps that our government wasn't willing to do. And that's because anytime there's a disaster under our capitalist system, people organize and they mobilize, they come together. All of LA came to a stop to help out our neighbors. And in the weeks after the fires, community members affected by the Eaton fires specifically began to organize, and they formed a committee called the LA Fire Survivors Committee. They gathered together to outline their list of demands to the federal government for immediate action. And this is an important step, coming together, saying what it is that we want to see. But we also know that making demands isn't the same thing as winning them. We want to actually win demands. We want to build real power if we want to do that. And that's why we knew going into this fight for the insurance commissioner role that the fight has to be about something bigger. It has to transfer this kind of community organizing into a broader political struggle. And we have to take the fight against the billionaire class to the electoral stage and continue to organize our people's aspirations, channel their anger, their frustrations, and their grief into a shared socialist vision for society. And, there's no shortcuts to this. The victory of one candidate doesn't make that possible. It doesn't change the nature of the whole system. Capitalism doesn't stop being capitalism just because one socialist wins office. Otherwise, the election of Mamdani in New York would have done that already, but it hasn't yet. One election isn't going to undo a private insurance market that's built to enrich its shareholders. But you know what can do that? You know what's more powerful than the private insurance lobby, than the private insurance industry? It's the people. And elections give us the opportunity to demonstrate that neither of the two major parties represent the interests of everyday people, while we also present an alternative for how things could be if working people were given the chance to be in power, and to bring people together who are ready to fight beyond election day to actually make those changes real and concrete. Some of you may know this, but this is actually my second time running for office. Back in 2024, I ran for Los Angeles City Council. I was running as a socialist city council member for District 14. That race was a little bit different because it was born out of scandal. There was 3 city council members and a prominent labor leader that were caught on tape in a racist tirade against the Black and indigenous Oaxacan communities.
Oh, yeah?
And that whole meeting, they were actually plotting on how they were going to gerrymander the city of LA to dilute Black and brown voting power. Kevin De Leon is the name of the council member who was on that tape, who refused to resign. And he was the only one who refused to do so. And he represented a district that was actually at the heart of the eviction crisis and the homelessness crisis in our city. And we could have treated this campaign like a normal campaign. We could have just parroted what all the other candidates in the race were saying, which is vote for us because the incumbent is corrupt and he's racist. That stuff was true, but that would not have gone far enough, because that scandal, just like the whole system and the crises that we have, are not just about one bad apple. It's about a political system where working class Black, brown, immigrant, and tenant communities are treated as political bargaining chips. So that time we ran a socialist campaign, independent from the major political parties, as Peace and Freedom Party, to prove that you don't have to compromise on community leadership, on representation, and on your working class values. And that time around, we knocked on over 10,000 doors in neighborhoods that most politicians never visit. Or if they do visit, it's because they want your vote or they want a photo op. And our program immediately spoke to the community members in that district. We listened to tenants facing evictions, to families being priced out, to communities being displaced by greedy developers. We actually came across a row of businesses, small businesses, and also tenants that lived in the same building who were being basically were being evicted by this developer called the Tao Corporation. And this one corporation was going to kick out dozens of families that had been living in the same place for decades. And throughout that campaign, throughout the Cloud and Karina campaign, what became clear was that those connections that we made, the struggle that we built, didn't end on election day. The relationships that we built, the community leaders who stepped forward, and the confidence that people gained to make their demands, that's what it was about. And even to this day, some of the people that were...
So they don't necessarily think when they run for office that they're going to win. Winning is not the only goal. They also use elections and volunteering and stuff like that to organize, to bring people together, to build a social ecosystem. This is how they are able to sustain after the election. And this is another area where conservatives just don't use their fucking brains. Conservatives think, oh, we won the election, we won. Well, no. You may have won a single battle. You haven't won the war. The war is long-term. The left understands long-term organizing. All the right thinks about is election. And they're not even thinking about all the elections. They're thinking about whatever the next election is.
Volunteering and supporting our on-the-ground efforts with our Vote Socialist California campaigns, many of them we met because of these electoral interventions that we made. all throughout, we're not simply trying to win office. We want to build power. And many candidates
They're not just
enter
trying to win
communities during
office.
the election season. They ask for stories, they ask for votes. They'll take pictures at churches or with babies, at schools, at union halls. You've seen it. They go to disaster sites, and then what happens? They disappear until the next campaign. They get elected and you never hear from them again, or they don't get elected and then they just disappear. And they treat working class communities like their backdrop. That's not why we run. We have a completely different outlook and goal for why we run these campaigns. Because for us, there's really no gap between the election and the mass movement. There's no pause between the campaign and the struggle. There's no such thing as an off season when we're trying to fight for working class power and ultimately for socialism. And we know that one candidate can't change the system, but the decisive factor is always going to be the people. So this time around, when I ran for insurance commissioner, they asked us, can one insurance commissioner build a public insurer? And we had to answer honestly, no. Not one single politician can undo the private market alone. No elected official can single-handedly deliver the scale of reform that working people need. And if they claim to do that, then they're overpromising.
They don't think they're lying.
But organized people can force open the possibilities that the two-party system continues to call impossible. Major reforms have never been gifts from generous politicians handed to us from above. They've been won through pressure, through organization, through mass movements. And politicians, they really do respond when people make it impossible for them not to. And that's why we build both outside and inside the elections. A mass movement outside the system creates the pressure. It turns up the heat.
So they just
An
said,
elected official-
this is what I said earlier. The PSL is trying to do this weird hybrid thing where they're playing around in elections, but they also know they're not going to win. So they're using the elections to build like a mass movement separately from the elections, to cultivate their social ecosystem, to give their volunteers something to do, something for their volunteers to like get behind and participate in. So it's not about winning the elections. I mean, if they win them, fine, they'll take it. But like, they're really kind of playing around with the elections in order to do something else. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? Well, they're winning and you're losing. So it doesn't fucking matter how you feel about whether or not they're living in reality. They are winning and you are fucking losing.
Inside the system, who's accountable to that movement, can help carry the fight into the institutions that currently serve the rich. And one last thing, I want to be very clear about what we mean by co-optation, because we saw it happen in this campaign. When those in power see a movement that's gaining energy, or they see a demand that's gaining...
Hans in with the 5 gifted channel memberships. Thank you so much for your ongoing and generous support, bro. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Momentum, a lot of times they don't want to defeat it directly. What they will do is they will absorb it. They will introduce watered down versions of our demands. And then they'll promote candidates with those watered down demands who sound more realistic, more polished, more electable. They take our language, soften our politics, and then guide people back into the same system, the same two-party system that created the crisis in the first place. We saw that in this race because before this campaign, no one else was talking about Altadena, about fire survivors, about how people are underinsured all over the state, or about how the only real alternative to the private insurance market is public insurance. Once we were the ones to force the issues into the debate, all the others shifted
Public
their
insurance is going to mean universal health.
and I know it sometimes it's hard to stomach, like, oh, it feels bad. I mean, I'm a teacher and I see the plagiarism that some of the other candidates do, but this isn't a reason to retreat. This is proof that our movements matter. So once again, our aim isn't just to win office or to win elections. Our aim is to transform society.
Thank you for the gifted channel
That
membership.
means
No,
building
here's to you.
politics every single day, not just when there's a campaign, not just when it's
33%,
November
guys.
or a primary. It means becoming leaders in our own communities, organizing tenants, supporting disaster survivors, building committees, joining workplace fights wherever you are, challenging landlords, confronting corporations, and refusing to let politicians
All
speak for
attacks
us
on private
without
property
being
ownership.
accountable to us. That's what we're building with Peace and Freedom Party. And in between elections, that's what we build with the PSL. We don't need to wait until 2028 because the work starts right now. The movement for socialism.
So that's interesting. It sounds like they're only running candidates through the Peace and Freedom Party, and they're using the Party for Socialism and Liberation not necessarily to run for a local office, but to do other types of organizing. So that's actually a really interesting understanding.
Is going to be built inside and outside the election cycle. And we have to keep running, keep putting a dent.
He has a job. He's a teacher.
Dealing blows to the system, just like we did with these campaigns. We run so that we can organize the people to build our confidence, our clarity, and our power. And long after the ballots are counted, we're going to keep fighting because our goal is bigger than any one office. No politician is going to save us, but together, organized and unafraid, solo el pueblo salva al pueblo. The people will save the people. Thanks, everyone.
Let's give it up for Lalo, everybody. Let's keep that love coming. Thank you, Lalo, for talking about how critically important it is that we build the movement both inside and outside of elections and resist co-optation by talking to working people every single day about what we are fighting for.
Yep, that's the
because
beyond
we
part.
run to amplify issues like co-optation and the other contradictions of capitalism and the capitalist system. We want to bring people to a different conclusion, that we need an independent working class party of our own. Our next and final speaker is the Vice President of the United Educators of San Francisco.
Oh, yeah?
And our candidate for
Teachers
Superintendent of Public Instruction, Frank Lara. Let's give it up for Frank, everybody.
Okay.
Hola, muchos saludos. Good evening, everyone. Again, thank you so much for joining us. It is so important that the day after the election, we host this forum. For those of you who've been following us, the Vote Socialist campaign since the beginning and almost a year ago, you remember how we said that the outcome isn't just about the number of votes, but the organization we built and the foundations that we have set that stay after the election. And now we're here, listening to the amazing speeches from all the candidates and the politics, how they intertwine in the electoral arena, but also more importantly in the people's movement. A year ago, and I know it's been a year because it shows up in my photo timeline, you know, I had comrades introduce themselves to take videos in my house to talk about the program that we were just about to launch and the whole campaign that was launched on Juneteenth. And that started the conversation. Chats were set up to discuss how to build up a political program, right? Committees were set up to discuss coordination, social media, campaign managers. And then came the house parties, then came the campaign events, came the videos, the interactions. And it has been a year. And looking back at it, I am not the same. And neither are you. And I'm not the same because I experienced, for example, at Porterville, you know, family from comrades who opened up their house and hosted our what felt to me was my first Vote Socialist event. And I experienced how loving parents who were so proud of their daughters were sitting patiently listening to why we should end capitalism and vote socialist.
Oh, yeah?
And I remember being so inspired by that meeting and heading then to San Diego, where I met a PTA parent that introduced the campaign, saying that the anger she saw of the injustice her children were facing, that all children were facing by the robbing of public education, made her commit herself to the Peace and Freedom Party, to Vote Socialist. And I remember being like, as soon as you piss off a PTA parent, you know you won when they're on your side. Or going to Ventura, for example, and being sent from carne asada to carne asada. And if you've ever been at a carne asada, nothing brings you together closer than a carne asada. And seeing a strong community shortly after.
Wait. Someone in Andrew Wilson's chat earlier said you are a psyop, Karlyn, because I was watching the Verdict Watch earlier and people were talking crap about you. Okay. Whatever. Andrew Wilson's audience is retarded and unhinged. Like breaking news.
You know, these strong, courageous people raided and intimidated by the federal government. Yet they were such humble, kind people sharing food, trying to live a better life when I joined them. Or the multiple visits to Los Angeles. And I gotta say, I've never seen socialism look so cool than visiting LA on an evening event where everybody looked great and everybody was presenting, again, a whole young crowd of hopeful people, making sure that people saw themselves in the elections, that people participated in these elections. Or when visiting UCLA and hearing the stories from the courageous students who were their own, these are the students with the highest degrees, the highest grades, the most difficult college campus to come into, and yet their university leadership allowed them to be beaten by Zionists, and they resisted and fought back. Or in Sacramento, where I saw longtime fighters still fighting the good fight. And this is just a little of what I saw being built, what I personally saw being built in this campaign. Now I can't imagine what you saw, what you experienced, and how much you learned during this past year. And no one will take that from you. This is what we mean when we say we need to build, we need to organize. It is to be empowered to not only hope and dream, but learn how to make it real. And you made that possible. We made that possible. Throughout the campaign, I was humbled by the number of young people committing themselves to the Vote Socialist campaign. I always enjoyed checking in with the attendees and asking them, how did you hear about our campaign?
Remember, guys, this person is running for superintendent of instruction in the San Francisco school district, and he is interacting with the kids every day. They're not paid protesters. They got brainwashed in public schools.
Or how did you get involved with organizing? And it was so re-energizing to hear how much we and our stories connected in the journey of what we can call awakening, right? I remember my first protest. I remember my first opportunity to speak at a rally. I remember my first act of civil disobedience. And after being involved for so long, it allows me to then offer some perspective. It is an important experience to come to a protest with like-minded people and hear strong conviction in the message for justice. Whether this past year you have attended a No Kings protest, the May Day actions, an anti-ICE or pro-immigrant rights actions, rallies, or a rally to demand an end to the genocide in Palestine and demanding a free Palestine. Listening to and among people who agree can feel very humanizing in a dehumanizing country like ours.
No. Can you please rein in the conservative retardation? This has nothing to fucking do with pedophilia. Conservatives are obsessed with pedophilia. You are obsessed. Literally. No. Stop making shit up. Why is it that I literally have to spend half of my streams telling conservatives to stop making shit up? Why?
Often isolated
it's all they
and
fucking
made
think
to
about.
feel
Yeah.
alone. So the introduction to a movement is invigorating and hopeful. And then after you attend many of these types of actions, you do begin to ask yourself, then what? What do we do? Do I just keep attending rallies? Do I just keep attending protests? I need to be more
Listen,
involved.
anyone can come on these streams, literally anyone can come on these streams and ask intelligent questions. Karlyn, what are they doing? What are they talking about? What are their goals? What are their motivations? What's the psychology behind this? Like, literally, you could ask any intelligent question. What do conservatives do? They come into the chat and go, they're all pedophiles. Okay. Okay. You're not serious people.
I need to be more committed. And the exciting challenge of electoral politics, which you lived, is that you are no longer just joining the people that agree with you. You are no longer just talking to each other in a bubble. All those slogans, all those words that inspired people who were angry about the same thing. Then the question becomes, how do we inspire others? How do we go visit their home? How do we go canvas? How do we pick up the phone and talk to someone on the other side who may be wanting the same thing? And that is what we did. We took the slogans and the
By
knowledge.
the way, someone told me I had to be on the same team as Dave Rubin yesterday. So you're all on the same team, Carl. I'm like, the fuck I am. And by the way, it was Dave Rubin who decided we weren't on the same team when he cut me off after I made a tweet he didn't like without so much as talking to me. So don't tell me I have to be on the same team as that asshole. No. No, I don't. No, I really don't, actually. No.
Of the people's movement and put them into a political
And furthermore, he
program
doesn't even want to be on the same team either.
to
So
our class,
we're good.
so that we can empower our class, and so with that we can build the mass movement that was actually capable of transforming society. We cannot simply wish socialism into existence. And if the raw numbers show from last night, living in a dying empire does not mean that people know what they want.
That means the
or
United
they know how
States,
to fight
dying
for an
empire is the
alternative.
United States.
And you also have to know that based on those numbers, building an alternative is going to take a lot of work. And now imagine,
That's
and
an
I'm not trying to
alternative
be
to
a
the
downer,
United
I'm not trying to
States.
tend to be a negative person, but imagine if we took all this story and here in history and experiences and hopes and said everything should be electoral. Imagine the depression I would have today. Imagine if I only believed that the votes are what were going to change the system.
Bro,
And-
I would go with the no letters, honestly. Just get the plague doctor and just have it be badass. You don't have to reference the cult. You don't have to do that. Like, just get the plague doctor and just have it be badass. I mean, I guess get the cult if you want. I wouldn't be offended or anything, but like, that's what I would do. But it's up to you. I appreciate it. That's cool. You're getting a plague doctor tattoo. That's rad. I got to get one too. I don't even have one yet.
Obviously, that's not the case. And while the last year I was a candidate for state superintendent of public instruction with the Vote Socialist
Maybe I should
campaign
work
with our
the plague
amazing
doctor into my
candidates,
sleeve that I'm
I
eventually
was
going to
also
finish.
part of a union that led a strike for the first time in 50 years. I participated in marches against the war and for immigrant rights. And while that seems like a supernatural thing for one person to do, the truth is that none of it was done on our own. None of what I have experienced in this year is owned by myself as a person. It is part of the collective power and energy.
They don't see themselves as
around us.
individuals. They see themselves as a collective.
And specifically, it is part of an organization. All of this is why I'm a committed member to the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I have been a member for over 15 years.
Wow.
I have experienced so many movements in such a short time, from Occupy, the student debt cancellation movement, the immigrant rights movement, anti-police brutality. Right? We fought to protect our people
Been a teacher the
against
whole
COVID.
time.
We fought for the government to be accountable to serve our people. And every time there were organizers and branches making sure that we were having that message throughout not only the state of California, but around the country. That is the power of having a collective.
So you guys are telling me that this public school teacher who is running for a superintendent of instruction office, you're telling me this guy has been a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation for 15 years, been doing activism with them for 15 years, and in all that time, the Republicans and the GOP never cut their funding. Remember, guys, the Party for Socialism and Liberation is the big group that Trump proclaimed at the White House. They know where the funding is coming from. They've been data Republican a year ago I know everything, and here is where the funding for the Party for Socialism and Liberation is coming from. Okay, dude, you just got banned. Enjoy. How many times have we heard the right say, we know where the funding is coming from for the Party for Socialism and Liberation? They've been doing this shit for 15 years, and the Republicans and the GOP and the MAGA grifters and the fucking conservative influencer retards and the journalists who don't really even know what they're talking about, not in 15 years have they done fuck off to stop the Party for Socialism and Liberation and wherever they're getting their funding from. So can we at long last put to rest this bullshit narrative that the Republicans are going to cut the funding? They haven't done it in 15 fucking years. And for many of those years, guys, they controlled all branches of the federal government. For many of those years, they controlled literally every branch of the federal government. And yet they still can't cut the funding, even though they proclaim they're going to all the time. It's a lie. It was never real.
Organization. And at the same time, the ruling class in those 15 years has offered nothing. Specifically, the Democratic Party has maintained the line that they are the only real alternative to our demise. And I first voted in 2004 for John Kerry, who lost to George Bush. And then I saw how Clinton tried to run against Obama, who was elected and told that we were finally saved. And then in 2012, the immigrant rights students fought for DACA and named Obama the deported in chief.
Oh, they didn't like
then
Obama.
Reelected,
Oh, you don't say.
For president from the Democratic Party. In 2016, I saw how Bernie was undermined despite being supported by thousands of young people who are seeking an alternative. And then you saw Biden and Trump and just the collective anger of people fed up with the two-party system. That is the trajectory that they are forcing us on. And yet here today on this webinar, you are seeing candidates looking to build an alternative. Brothers, sisters, siblings, you are living your own story. You have your own reasons why you know we must end capitalism and why we believe that socialism is the answer. There are many members in the Party for Socialism and Liberation who feel this and are committed to the struggle. It is why I invite you to join. We must be part of a collective. Revolutions or transformations in society are deeply, deeply collective. If you experience the strike here in San Francisco or in LA or anywhere else, you know this to be true. There are thousands of stories that will never be told, yet we achieved one outcome. And if you can't fully commit as a PSL member, join the PSL Action Network. Get involved into a community the way I experienced the community in Ventura, in San Diego, with good people, people willing to fight and commit their lives to the struggle. Don't forget what you've learned. Don't let the system rob you of your hope or make you think that you cannot fight for something better. Join us. Be as revolutionary as life itself. We will continue to see you in the streets. Congratulations to all the efforts. Great work. La lucha sigue, and we will win.
All right, guys, I just want to remind you, we have 15 minutes left of this stream, and then we are going into Spy Stream, where we will be infiltrating a live leftist organizing call. Spy Stream is open to supporters only tonight. Yesterday was public. If you didn't watch yesterday's, I would highly recommend it. It was great. It was a great stream. But tonight we're doing supporter exclusive. We are 2/3 shy of our channel membership goal. I would love to make a little bit more progress. Can we at least get halfway there? Because with all the memberships that came in yesterday, at least getting halfway there would keep me on track for the week. So if we can get halfway there, that would be awesome. If we can't, I probably won't be doing a public stream tomorrow because you guys have shown me you don't really want it. And that's fine because I have another spy stream tomorrow. I have another spy stream the next day. I have another spy stream the day after that. So I'm going to be doing plenty of streaming, but I'm happy to restrict it to supporters. If you guys don't want this type of content, that's totally fine. Old sub, he's a teacher, undermined. No wonder public ed is failing. So real, old sub, so real. Thanks so much for that. We got Ninja Artist in with a W. Thank you so much for the gifted channel membership. Grillis coming in with another 5. Thank you, Grillis, for that. Anthony, W to you, good sir. Thank you for that. That's 7 more. Guys, can we get like 10 more channel memberships at least? Can we get that before the end of the stream? That'd be rad. That'd be rad. That would keep me on track for the week. I would appreciate it.
Let's give it up for Frank one more time, everyone. Thank you so much, Frank, for sharing your experience in the union struggle and how being a socialist in a party, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, was so instrumental to your political journey. I think we all know how capitalism affects us and our loved ones every day. And like Frank said, instead of feeling hopeless, we can come together to fight the system itself. Now, we've just heard from our amazing slate of candidates who are not just candidates. They're working class fighters, and they are organizers with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. After hearing those inspiring comments, now is the time for all of us to decide how we're going to move forward in the fight for socialism.
Oh, Ileana, I appreciate
I know
you
not
trying.
everyone here on this call might consider themselves an organizer at this moment. If you came into this movement through the election or recently, some of this might sound new, but an organizer is someone who talks to people around them in their communities, in their families, who gets to know their struggles and their ideas that we share and helps them see that they can take action. And organizers can do all of this with the support of an organization. So we want to tell all of you that every single one of us in this call can do that. You are capable of organizing for socialism every single day. And the organization that you can be part of to fight between election cycles.
We got Accent in there with 5. Thank you, bro, so much. W's to you, good sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Get in there, guys.
Is the PSL. So if everyone can take a moment to get out their phones, or if you're on your phone, get your friend's phone.
All right, let's fast forward through this little ass. Let's get to the good stuff.
73%. Oh, goodness. Well, you can tell them.
They're asking, what do I say to people who tell me I wasted my vote by voting for you or the other socialist candidates?
Good question.
Oh, goodness. Well, you can tell them unequivocally that they did not waste their vote. I mean, come on, y'all. We were able to take our explicitly socialist message that so many people in California are hungry for. I mean, 73% of Californians are demanding, saying that it's time for a third party. And we show them with this campaign that the Peace and Freedom Party is that party for us in California. And I mean, we've gone over the stats so much, but it bears
it's all
repeating.
Good, Steve. You
rock.
We
got 51,000
I wish you got a membership, bro.
To sign up and say, we want a third party on the ballot. We want our whole slate of socialist candidates to get some shine. We were able to mobilize volunteers out to knock on tens of thousands of doors. So in no way did we waste our vote. And we're part of this movement that's happening.
Oh, that's so nice giving him a Substack.
Right now.
That'd be
like
great.
We said, we are the fastest growing political party in California. So I think that speaks volumes to what we've done, what we've accomplished, and we're not going anywhere. So no wasted votes here.
Thanks, Ramsey. The next question is one that I think Frank can speak to really, really well. What can I do as a busy dad and sole income earner in my household to promote class consciousness and help build socialism?
W.
First, a lot.
Guys, so Mario was just asked what he can do to promote what someone can do to promote class consciousness. Class consciousness is the idea of waking up to the fact that you are part of an oppressed class under capitalism. Okay? That's what that is. Class consciousness is about waking up to the fact that the capitalists control everything and they are oppressing the worker, and you are part of the oppressed party, and you are now aware of the class system, the hierarchy that capitalism created, and you are now aware that it exists, and you are on the oppressed part of it.
Respects to our class in what the many things that they have to deal with everything. We often get told how we have to be productive and more capable, and everything's about us as individuals trying to do and solve the world's problems.
They
right?
don't believe in
Even I'll just say, as a
individualism.
parent, I have a son. He's 5 years old. He has been a fixture of this campaign. It hasn't been anything separate. He's come to me with me at these events. He's learned the messages. He's listening to what people are saying. People are interacting. He's having the diversity of.
Most socialists that I've interacted with are second or third generation socialists that were brought to these meetings by their parents. They have kids. They have childcare at their meetings. They raise their kids to be good little socialists. They integrate the kids into everything from like a really young age so that they literally grow up with these ideas.
Different age groups of just how diverse we really are as a society. And it's been very inspiring to have them. So one is, there really isn't a separation between the politics and the life that we are having. In fact, probably, I'm sure you could share a story of why you are a busy dad, why you're having to work so hard in order to have an income, to put a roof over your head. And all that is time taken away from the real life that your child is now growing and becoming, a person in the system. So I think it's more trying to really change the mindset away from all these things are separate, and also I only have to do these things on my own. I could not have done what I did without the party, without organization. In many times, and being fully transparent with you all, I was basically just showing up ready to talk. Everything was laid out by an organization, and everything was laid out by agendas, program, connections. All this made it possible, and this is why it's important for us as candidates not to be speaking as the representatives. We are a collective of individuals, so that when you come in, you participate, your presence, your story is brought into the stories of others. And so having a single, a dad who's a sole income earner, that experience into the movement is key. You bring in what you can. In Spanish, we say something similar like un granito de arena. We are just but like, a speck of sand. And we all together then build a mountain.
W's to you being so fucking generous today, girl. I really appreciate it. W's in the chat for Ninja Artist. Donated multiple channel memberships. Thank you so much for the donation. We're up to 54. Okay, we're cooking. We're cooking. Not as high as I'd like, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you guys for your generosity. I appreciate it.
Make sure not to have that view. We have the PSL Action Network, which you can also is being placed in the chat. But the PSL Action Network is a really great way just to be part of a community that is learning, reading, getting links, inviting you to the march that you can probably attend. We have childcare at every single event. Your children can grow up also in the community environment.
We have childcare. How many times have I tried to tell you guys that they have childcare at all their socialist events to raise their children to be good socialists? We have childcare at every event so that we can raise our children in the community. I mean, can we stop perpetrating the myth that they abort all their kids? It's literally just not true. Literally just not true.
Work is a really great way just to be part of a community that is learning, reading, getting links, inviting you to the march that you can probably attend. We have childcare at every single event. Your children can grow up also in the community environment that we're, in a different type of environment because it's with children of parents who probably think like you as well. So I just think trying to get disillusioned, the struggle is real. Just trying to survive day to day under capitalism is real. We don't have to do this alone. It's actually really beautiful when you find a community that you can build together.
Thank you so much, Frank. And like Frank said, you have the option to join the PSL Action Network and contribute to the movement for socialism in any way you can. And those links are being dropped in the chat again. The next question is, well, we've gotten a couple of questions actually about policy and specifically healthcare. So people are asking, what is our strategy to move the needle toward passing CalCare or universal healthcare in California? Because Kaiser and the other healthcare companies are extremely oppressive to working people and exploitative. And another question asks, what are some policy choices that the Ramsey Robinson campaign can use to provide meaningful change to the state in favor of the working class. So Ramsey, would you like to answer this question?
Oh, gladly. Yeah. So, it was so many of our platform points. We never promise anything that we can't actually do. I mean, like, for example, our employment platform, $30 an hour jobs, union jobs. And people, often ask, like, well, where do you get that $30 an hour, number? And there's things on the books in California that we can actually do, like Labor Code 1170, that lets us, the state, set these the wages for state public jobs. So, and healthcare is another one of those things. And I can say for sure that our research team is writing a paper right now, a white paper on how we can actually implement healthcare, universal and free healthcare to everybody in California. It covers everything: mental health, dental, vision, reproductive care, gender affirming care. Again, we will continue to do this as well, even after the campaign is over, because it's so important that we show California that there are actual practical ways that we can implement all of our programs that we're suggesting. So just look out for these white papers that are coming. And that's another way that we can just move things forward with the struggle.
Thank you, Ramsey. We're getting some questions about the PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation. What does it look like to join the PSL, and what are the practical expectations? Lalo, would you like to answer that question?
Yes, I would love to. So I've been in the PSL since 2020. We probably remember that year. It was the COVID year, but also George Floyd uprising, the fight against racism, really fight against the Trump administration, and the billionaire system. And really at the core of it, what it means to be in the PSL means that you're making a commitment to build socialism wherever you are, whatever space you have influence in. We are composed of students and teachers and workers from every industry you can imagine, with all kinds of backgrounds, life circumstances. And like how Frank was describing, it's about how you fit this commitment and weave it into your life. All of us who ran for office, we're all educators. Megan's a school bus driver. Alice Tech is a OBGYN. We all have like these demanding schedules, but we find ways to build socialism in our communities, at our workplaces, and we're also involved in people's movements.
No, I'm not covering the
SPLC
SPLC.
Against the landlord.
That's not going to happen.
Or it's against police brutality and ICE raids. Any issue that affects the working.
The minute the Republicans in Congress actually do something fucking useful, like hold hearings into the political organizing activities of the unions, I will cover that. I'm not covering the SPLC fucking clown show that is just for like PR purposes for the GOP. Fuck that. No.
Class, that's where we want to be, including the big issues of global war, Palestine.
You guys understand, right? The SPLC hearings are basically the Republicans going, we're not racist. We're not racist. It's the Democrats who are racist. We're not racist. It's the Democrats. And I'm sorry, I'm so fucking sick of that shit. I'm so fucking sick of the we're not racist. It's the Democrats. Like, fuck that shit. No.
Iran. And so if you see, if you're looking at the counties of where we operate and you don't see your county or you don't see your township there, then you should definitely fill out an interest form and get in conversation with us about how we can start a PFP chapter. How can we start, bringing these politics to where you are? It's not so much about, people coming to the one thing. It's more so about spreading socialism, whether you're in a workplace or a sports team. People are into like pickleball these days, like, whatever, any place that you are organized with working people. That's where we want to bring the PSL and socialism as well to bring about this change in society. So, we'll still be canvassing, going to organizing meetings or hosting them, but we also want to train people to be leaders. So if you feel like you're, not at a point right now where you can like do public speaking, things like that, you definitely will get that training in the PSL. It is a commitment, but it's one that is very rewarding And yeah, I recommend it.
Thanks, Lalo, and definitely agree with everything you shared about what it's like to be in the PSL and how rewarding and fulfilling the experience is to fight alongside other working class people. Another question that's related: what is the difference between the Peace and Freedom Party and the PSL? I think Megan would be really good to answer this question as a statewide officer for the Peace and Freedom Party and also a PSL organizer.
Good question.
Thanks. And I think it is an important question, but to really highlight it, I mean, as we've said, is that the Peace and Freedom Party has been on the ballot in California for more than, I think it's almost 70 years now. Going from 68, maybe I'm doing my math wrong. My apologies. But it's the only socialist party that's on the ballot in California. And it's a great way for us to be able to fight within the electoral system. And it includes a broad coalition of socialist groups and individuals
the PSL
who are running
can't get
as
on the
Peace and
ballot.
Freedom Party candidates, and not as the Democratic Party, as we all know how bankrupt that is. And so as socialists, it's rare for us to have that kind of ballot access that's independent from the two-party system. And it's something that, I was seeing some of the questions come in there, is that it is really important for us to have this alternative and to be able to use the most of it. And I think especially as we've seen here, is that this is a real opportunity, especially at election time, when people are asking questions and people are pay extra special attention during times of struggle and times of elections, to be able to talk about what's really going on in our communities and what our people really need and what we're not seeing. And I think actually from Lalo's talk earlier about really what difference it made to be able to talk in Altadena about the insurance companies and about the right that people should have to their homes, and to not be suffering from these crises that are created by the capitalists. And so I think so that's really what the Peace and Freedom Party is, and the real opportunity that it gives all of us for building socialism within our electoral arena. And it doesn't exist in most states. And it is a testament to the anti-war and civil rights movement of the 1960s that founded it. On the other side of this is that the PSL is a nationwide revolutionary socialist party. And it's existing to carry out the struggle for socialism within the US. So it's made up of leaders and activists, workers and students, and it's organized all across the country and not just in California. And so I know all of us on here are also members of the PSL. We're organizers and workers just like everybody who's on this call here. That, as Frank was saying, we dedicate our free time and our resources to organizing and building that mass movement and building class consciousness. So there are also branches that are across the nation, and that our members fight in both local, national, and international struggles in solidarity.
Thank you, Megan. What a clear answer. I want to move on to the next question, which is, what's the difference between voting socialists into office and having the working class in power, which is what the PSL is fighting for? And Lalo, would you like to answer that question?
Guys.
I would love to answer that question. I think it really gets to the core of our specific outlook. And the thing is, what really makes us different from other parties is that we believe that uprooting this whole capitalist system is not just a pie in the sky idea. It's entirely humanly possible with the people and the resources that are in the United States right now. We can organize society around our needs, around the people's needs, around the planet's needs.
W's.
But in order to do that, we have to go beyond having just, quote unquote progressives in office. We have that now in some ways, not that
we have to go beyond progressives.
They're perfect, but we've seen the promises and also the shortcomings of candidates like Bernie Sanders, like AOC. And I mean, those are two candidates that made me a socialist. They made me who I am today. But even with the election of Mamdani admits, there's only so much I will be able to do without a mass movement. So far as the capitalist system continues to exist, we can get as many candidates as we want in there.
That means the government.
We're always going to be negotiating the terms of our exploitation, the terms with the billionaire class who will ultimately...
Okay, guys, sadly, we do have to wrap this up because we have a spy stream to get to. If you are a supporter on the Substack, head over to the Substack, Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com, and you will find the spy stream information on the Substack. If you are a supporter on Locals, Patreon, or Twitter, go to whatever platform you are a supporter on, and you will find the information there. If you just became a YouTube channel member, go to the go to my YouTube channel homepage, go to the post tab, and when you are a YouTube channel member, the very first post on the post tab will be the link to Spy Stream. It's not a member exclusive stream. It's an unlisted stream. So we have to bring in people from other platforms. So that is how you find Spy Stream for tonight. I got to wrap this up real quick and get Spy Stream started because it's starting in 9 minutes. But thank you everyone for sending in 55 channel memberships today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support, and I will see you guys